It's Sunday afternoon. The chores are done. The laundry is folded. The inbox is empty. You finally have permission to relax. And yet you can't. Instead of peace, you feel restless. A phantom vibration in your pocket. A quiet pressure in your chest. A voice in your head whispers, you should be doing something. You're wasting time. You're falling behind. This feeling has a name, leisure sickness. It's what happens when stopping feels worse than working. You might tell yourself this is just your personality, that you're type A, that you were born this way. But that's not true. You were not born unable to rest. You were trained to be unable to rest. You are living inside a system built on the idea that a human being is valuable only when producing. The philosopher Josef Pieper called this the logic of total work, the belief that any moment not spent creating output is a moment wasted. That belief didn't come from nowhere. To understand it, we need to look at an old idea called the panopticon. It was designed as a perfect prison, a tower at the center, prisoners arranged in a circle, never knowing when they were being watched. Eventually, the guard didn't need to be there anymore. The prisoners watched themselves. Modern life works the same way. Schools, offices, hospitals, everything is built for visibility and measurement. Grades, KPIs, metrics, averages. You're constantly compared to a standard, and falling short feels like failure. But surveillance alone doesn't explain the guilt. The guilt comes from turning work into morality. In the early 20th century, sociologist Max Weber explained how work became a kind of religion. Hard work wasn't just practical, it was proof of worth. Wasting time became a sin. Today the God is gone, but the guilt remains. When you rest, you don't feel relaxed. You feel wrong. And modern culture made this worse. We no longer live in a world of you must. We live in a world of you can. You can be successful. You can optimize yourself. You can do more. This sounds like freedom, but it's not. Because when the command is you can, failure becomes personal. There's no boss to blame. You become both the worker and the supervisor. As one philosopher put it, the victim and the executioner are now the same person. That's why rest feels like cheating. You're not rebelling. You're disappointing yourself. There's also a biological trap at work. For most of human history, stress came in short bursts. Danger appeared, adrenaline spiked, danger passed, and the body returned to calm. Today, stress never turns off. Deadlines, notifications, news, rent, it's all low-level, constant. Your nervous system adapts to this. It becomes addicted to stress hormones. So when things finally go quiet, like on a Sunday afternoon, your body panics. Silence doesn't feel safe. It feels wrong. That's why you reach for your phone. Not because you care about the content, but because you're craving a hit of anxiety to feel normal again. We also stay busy for a deeper reason, fear. The first question we ask strangers isn't, "Who are you?" It's, "What do you do?" In this culture, worth is tied to usefulness. Busy means important. Exhausted means needed. Resting feels like disappearing. Especially for men, this is brutal. Many of us were taught that if we aren't producing or providing, we don't matter. So we stay busy to avoid the question that silence brings. Who am I when I stop? The philosopher Blaise Pascal once wrote that most human misery comes from our inability to sit quietly alone. Not because silence is boring, but because it's confrontational. When the noise stops, the real questions appear. Am I happy? Is this life actually mine? So instead of listening, we stay exhausted. Even leisure has been stolen from us. We don't rest for its own sake anymore. We recharge like machines, only so we can work again. Everything needs a return on investment. Walks become step counts. Hobbies become side hustles. Joy becomes unpaid labor. But if everything you do is for something else, when do you actually live? There is another way, and it starts with defining enough. Imagine there were no rewards for going beyond what you truly need. Would you still work this hard? Would you still answer that email on Sunday? If not, then what's driving you isn't passion, it's endless hunger. There are only two ways to feel rich: accumulate more or want less. Write down what you actually need for a good life. Be specific. You may discover you don't need the pressure, the grind, the constant urgency. You might be able to earn less and live more. You also need to relearn how to do nothing. Not productively, not mindfully, just nothing. Sit. Look out a window. Let the guilt scream. That voice isn't truth, it's withdrawal. You are not a battery. You are not a machine. You have a right the system will never reward, the right to be useless. Useless to the market, useless to productivity metrics. Hours with no value except that they are yours. Because when you look back on your life, the moments that mattered most, the laughter, the love, the stillness, none of them were productive. And yet, they were everything. In a world obsessed with speed, the most radical act is this: slow down and live.